Captions are indeed one of the best tools to enhance understanding. They provide clarity, improve accessibility, and allow people to follow along, regardless of language or hearing ability.
Join me as I take on the challenge of creating a stunning finger painting of a magical moonlit night, using only my fingers and no brushes. Today, we're going to unleash our creativity and dive into the wonderful world of finger painting. Who needs brushes when you have fingers, right? We're going to bring a magical moonlit night to life using just our fingers and some paint. It's going to be so much fun, and I'm excited to have you along on this artistic journey. Capturing the essence of a moonlit night is no easy feat, especially when you're working with just your fingers and paint. The delicate balance of light and shadow, the soft glow of the moon, and the subtle textures of the night sky, it's a lot to convey with just your fingertips. But that's what makes it so challenging, and so rewarding. The biggest hurdle is probably going to be controlling the amount of paint on my fingers. Too much, and the painting becomes a mess. Too little, and it's hard to get the desired effect. I'm also worried about achieving the right consistency with the paint. If it's too thick, it won't spread evenly. If it's too thin, it'll be hard to control. Then there's the issue of blending colors. Fingers aren't exactly precision instruments, so getting smooth transitions between colors can be tricky. And let's not forget about the nuances of texture and pattern. How do you recreate the intricate details of a moonlit night using just your fingers? It's a puzzle, but I love a good puzzle. Despite the challenges, I'm really excited to get started. There's something so liberating about working with your fingers. It's like tapping into your inner child. You get to be messy, you get to experiment, and you get to see your creativity unfold in a really organic way. So, let's take a deep breath, get our fingers ready, and dive into this magical moonlit night. The first step is to create a rough outline of our composition. I'm using a large piece of paper, and I'm starting with a very loose sketch of the night sky. My fingers are going to be my guide, so I'm not too worried about precision at this stage. I just want to get a sense of the overall layout. Once I have that, I can start building up the colors and textures. For the night sky, I'm using a combination of blues and purples to create a sense of depth and atmosphere. As I start to add more colors, I'm thinking about the emotions I want to evoke. I want this painting to feel peaceful, dreamy, and maybe even a little bit mystical. The moon is going to be the focal point, so I'm using a soft, creamy white to create a sense of glow. I'm also experimenting with different textures to capture the delicate patterns of the night sky. It's amazing how much expression you can get from just your fingers. The more I paint, the more I feel myself getting lost in the process. It's meditative, in a way, the gentle strokes, the blending of colors, the sense of creation unfolding before your eyes. I love watching the painting come together, seeing the textures and patterns emerge, and feeling the emotions start to take shape. It's a truly magical process. And then, suddenly, it happens, the painting starts to come alive. The colors deepen, the textures become more pronounced, and the moon starts to glow with an otherworldly light. It's like magic, I tell you. The whole piece transforms before your eyes, and it's hard not to feel a sense of wonder and awe. Looking back on this journey, I'm reminded of just how much joy and satisfaction I get from finger painting. It's not about creating a perfect piece of art, it's about embracing the process, letting go of control, and allowing your creativity to shine. And that, my friends, is the real magic of finger painting. Thanks for joining me on this artistic adventure. If you have any finger painting experiences or tips you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. Finger painting, it's an art form that's all about freedom and expression, right? You get to ditch the brushes and let your creativity flow straight from your fingertips onto the canvas. It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be liberating, and it's supposed to be easy. But let's be real, how hard can it really be? I mean, I've seen toddlers do it, and they seem to have a blast. But as I stood in front of my blank canvas, staring at the vibrant paints in my own eager fingers, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was in way over my head. Something about the unpredictability of it all, the lack of control, it was all just a bit intimidating. One thing's for sure, though, finger painting is messy. Like, ridiculously messy. As soon as I dipped my fingers into that first glob of paint, I knew I was in trouble. The colors were so vibrant, so alive, and yet, so uncontrollable. It was like trying to tame a pack of wild animals. And the techniques, oh, the techniques. I tried the gentle, sweeping motions, the bold, dabbing strokes, even the crazy, flicking gestures. But no matter what I did, the paint just seemed to have a mind of its own. It was like I was trying to paint with a bunch of wet, squirmy worms. But the real challenge came when I tried to get a bit too ambitious. I started adding more and more colors, trying to create these intricate patterns and designs. Let's just say it didn't quite turn out as planned. The colors started mixing in weird ways, the paint started dripping everywhere, and before I knew it, I was staring at a hot mess. That's when things started to get really out of hand. I added one too many strokes, and suddenly, my beautiful, abstract masterpiece turned into a psychedelic nightmare. I'm talking paint splatters everywhere, on the canvas, on the table, on the walls, even on my face. It was like a paint bomb had gone off. But the pièce de résistance, the crowning glory of my finger painting disaster, was when I tried to add a bit of texture to my artwork. I grabbed a handful of paint and just splattered it everywhere. I mean, I was covered in it, the canvas was covered in it, the entire room was covered in it. It was like a paint-filled explosion had detonated. Looking back on the whole experience, I have to admit, it was a bit of a disaster. Okay, fine, it was a total disaster. But despite the chaos, despite the mess, despite the utter and complete lack of control, I had a blast. There's something about the raw, unbridled creativity of finger painting that's just so liberating. So, if you've ever attempted to paint with your fingers and ended up with a similar catastrophe, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your own finger painting adventures. Finger painting is an amazing way to express yourself creatively and tap into your inner child. It's a playful and fun art form that can bring so much joy and relaxation to your life. I think that's what I love most about it. There's no right or wrong, it's just about having fun and letting your imagination run wild. I think a lot of people think that finger painting is just for kids, that it's something we grow out of as we get older. But I think that's a real shame. As adults, we often lose touch with our creative side, getting caught up in work and responsibilities. But finger painting is a great way to recapture that sense of wonder and creativity that we had as kids. And trust me, it's not just for kids. Adults can benefit just as much from the stress relief and self-expression that finger painting provides. One of the reasons I think people might think finger painting is just for kids is because they remember doing it in elementary school, and it was just a fun little activity to pass the time. But the reality is, finger painting can be a really sophisticated art form that requires a lot of skill and practice. It's not just about slopping paint around on a piece of paper, it's about technique, texture, and color theory. I think another misconception about finger painting is that it's messy and uncontrolled. But again, that's just not true. With the right materials and a little bit of practice, you can create beautiful, intricate pieces of art that are truly stunning. And yes, it might get a little messy sometimes, but that's all part of the fun. When it comes to finger painting, there are so many different techniques and materials you can use to create unique and interesting effects. You can use all sorts of different paints, from traditional watercolors to metallic acrylics, and each one will give you a different look and feel. You can also experiment with different paper textures, from smooth to rough, to add even more depth and interest to your artwork. One of the things I love about finger painting is the sensory experience of it. The feeling of the paint squishing between your fingers, the smell of the paint in the paper, the sound of the paint squelching as you move your fingers around. It's a really immersive experience that's hard to find with other art forms. And when you're in the zone, creating something new and exciting, it's an incredible feeling. Let's see how I do creating a piece of finger painting from start to finish.